Hi everyone, Dead Battery here, and thank you for joining me on my channel. Today's video is not going to be on a game system, but it's still really awesome. So for a while now, I've been looking for something very specific. Honestly, I wasn't looking for it in the junk section, I was just looking for it in general, and it can be kind of pricey. I have been looking for a Laserdisc, but it wasn't really on the forefront of my mind. I would try to look for them, and if I didn't see one, I didn't see one. Not a big deal. But on my trip to Arizona, when I attempted to help fix the one broken at Glitch Barcadium, which ended up not being broken, so we really didn't dig into it, it kind of lit a fire under me. So I started looking a little bit more. And one of the stores in the junk section, squished between a bunch of other audio equipment and Blu-ray players, was a Pioneer Laserdisc. Normally the stores in the junk section will put little tags on them that tell you what's wrong with the machine or what you're trying to buy, and this one stated that it powered on but the tray wouldn't open. My initial guess was that it could possibly be a belt broken, hence why it wasn't opening, and I knew that that was something I could replace, and I think the price was only 1100 yen, so I thought it was a risk worth taking since these systems can be kind of pricey. Now, I'm not going to go through the history of the Laserdisc like I do in some of my other videos, since I already talked about the history in my trip to Arizona. So if you'd like to see that, go ahead and check out that video. Basically, the Laserdisc was more popular here in Japan, and in general, it just kind of dwindled down because even though the video was better, people enjoyed VHS and other systems because you could actually record on them, where Laserdisc you couldn't do that. So let's have a look at what type of Laserdisc I have. Let's take it apart and see what's actually broken, and then hopefully we can fix it. This is the Pioneer model that I got. It's kind of dirty. I'm hoping that this will clean off in the end, but in general, it looks really good on the outside. To open this model, there are 7 screws. I'm not too sure if all models are like that. I assume there's some differences. So for this system, there are 2 screws on each of the sides and then 3 screws on the back. Pay attention to where you get the screws because these are the only ones that are going to be different. Once the screws are removed, the top just slides back and then lifts off. And have a look at that. I was not expecting that, but there's already a Laserdisc inside. I did test it when I got it. It does turn on, but as it states, it doesn't open. Since the Laserdisc is in the way, I can't actually see anything, so I'll need to get that out of the way before I can do anything else, which means these brackets need to move. Now we can see what type of Laserdisc it is, and at the moment it definitely looks like something with chapters, but we'll have a look at it shortly. Now I'm going to remove this back cover. It's just plastic, and I think it's going to be a lot easier to get the rest of the screws out once this panel is off. Now I can see the rest of the screws that hold this top area down. It does move up and down really easily. I'm not too sure why. So to get any of the screws out, I definitely have to put some kind of support under it or hold my hand under it to give it support. Now this piece is metal with a plastic part on it, and not too sure how it separates. I'm trying to like wiggle and move stuff to see if that's how it comes apart. I'm thinking maybe this bracket here at the bottom. I'm not too sure if this is how you're supposed to take it off. I kind of move stuff out of the way to remove these 4 screws and this bracket. However, when I'm doing this, I notice that the laser is all the way back, and it looks like it's stuck in the back somehow, but once again, I'm not too sure how this all works yet. Once I get that bracket out of the way and kind of shift things around, I can see that the plastic piece is fitted down at the bottom. So with a little wiggle, I'm able to free it and move that piece out of the way. With that piece gone, I can remove the Laserdisc and now we can see what it is. So here's the Laserdisc, and unfortunately it is definitely something that I am not going to be able to understand at the moment, but it's a karaoke Laserdisc. Now I'm gonna look at the laser because it did look like it was stuck in the back, and the assumption is that it got stuck somehow and wasn't able to move forward, and that's why it wasn't working, but I'm not sure how this all works with the tray. So I'm still thinking that there's possibly a belt broken. I'm gonna continue to take this apart so I can get a better look at things, since it's really hard to see underneath the tray since I can't get the tray open. So I'm gonna take the back panel off. Now that the back panel is out of the way, I can see the laser part better, and I was able to move it back and forth. It does move really freely, and I'm not too sure why, and I'm not sure how it actually moves right now. I decided to take the AV side back panel off. As I'm taking the screws out, one of them drops, and I push the laser disc to get it and then pull it back, and I don't notice it yet, but it does kind of pop up on the camera. I think something happened and I had to step away, so I paused the camera, and when I unpaused it, I had shifted it again, and right there in the corner you can see what looks like a gear, and now I actually notice it. So I get my tweezers and I get it out, and now everything's kind of falling into place. I did find another small gray plastic piece, and I realized it possibly broke off the bottom of the laser disc, and this is the gear that actually moves it. And I'm assuming maybe once the gear fell off, that was it and it wouldn't move. I'm still not sure how that affects the tray, but I found something that was broken that I can possibly fix. Now that I know this is broken, I can look at my options. But I still want to see how this all comes apart since the tray is still not opening. And I couldn't understand how the laser not moving could affect the tray not opening because it was just one gear. But I can't see any belts broken. So I'm going to try to take more of it apart, but I'm absolutely struggling at this. I cannot understand or see how this even comes apart any further. There does seem to be some like plastic pressure points around this frame here, but no matter what I do, I can't seem to get anything loose. I did remove a couple screws, it didn't help, and to prevent anything else from breaking, I just decided to leave it at that and work on one thing at a time. In my research of the laser part that is broken, I found that it's not going to be an easy part to find and or could be expensive. But I did want to see all my options before I decided. In the process, I found an article about somebody having the same problem and asking about it, and they included a printable file. And I just so happened to have a coworker whose husband just started getting into 3D printing. So I sent it to her, she asked her husband, he said, yeah, it'll probably take like 17 minutes and we'll bring it to you on Monday. Now that I've figured out how this all goes back together, the next issue is the pin that holds this gear. I don't have another pin and I'm a little impatient to go find one, so I find a cotter pin that fits and I use my metal Dremel cutting bit and I just cut off the straight end of the cotter pin. Once the 3D print is in place, the screws are back, all the gears are there, and the pins are in place. This is what it looks like. Now I do need to cut this one pin down more, but I'll work on that off camera. Now that I know this is how it goes together, I gotta get the laser back on the track, and I cannot figure this out. I struggled for a long time. I kept measuring it up to the other one to figure out where I needed to maybe Dremel down a little bit of the print. And unfortunately, I paused the camera again and forgot to unpause it. So now you see it in place. But basically, I had to put it upside down at the top of the tracks, loop it around, and then it fit onto the track. Once that is back down on the tracks, I decide to plug it in and give it a test just to see. And at first I get discouraged because it's not working, and then I realize I forgot to actually hit the power on my power strip. Once I hit the power button again, it does make noise and it starts to move, and I am completely surprised. So I hit the tray button and it opens. I am so ecstatic. So I'm really excited. So I get the karaoke Laserdisc, I open it up back up, I put the Laserdisc in, and I hit play, and it doesn't move, and it doesn't spin, and it says no disc. So I'm a little disappointed. And then I start thinking about it and realize that I didn't put it all back together. So I shut everything off and I put all the brackets back on top. And hit play, and as you can see, it's spinning and it's definitely reading something. I'm so excited, so let's put this back together and test it. We did preemptively look for some laser discs just in case I did fix this. And I happened to find Aliens, and it was only 500 yen, so maybe $3. So I definitely grabbed it. This is what it looks like. At the moment, I don't know if Japanese laser discs are Japanese dubbed or English with Japanese subtitles. I hooked it up to the capture card that my husband uses to record his video gameplay, and I think it's pretty cool that it does say Laserdisc at the top. I don't know how much I can show of this.
I'm not making that out too well. What is it, Hudson?
You tell me, man. I only work here.
Now you can hear it, and it is English, and it just has hard Japanese subtitles, which I am 100% okay with. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. I fixed a Laserdisc. That, once again, is not something that I ever thought I would fix and or own. So I am so excited about owning a Laserdisc, and I can't wait to find more movies to play on it. I'm definitely going to start looking for more Laserdiscs here. Unfortunately, any of the animes I'm going to want to watch are going to be in Japanese, but no way easier to learn and keep learning than just to be fully immersed in it. I would have never thought that one little gear would have prevented the whole thing from not working. I do get that gears play a really big part in it, but how the machine worked is that little loop area where I had issue getting the screws out because it moved. Apparently that whole system, when the laser moves, it moves up and down to allow the tray to open. So now that I know that's how it worked, it makes sense why one gear off of the laser would prevent the rest of it from working. Unfortunately, I do believe I am gonna have to find an alternate for the 3D printed part, either getting it made with a different type of material or trying to find an original. I'm not too sure. I'm not 3D print savvy, but certain areas of the 3D print do seem a little flimsy, and the one part that I thought wasn't going to give me issue may actually cause problems. And it's not a fault of the person who made it, it's just how the machine works. So I noticed that the front of the Laserdisc says A and B, and I didn't pay any mind to it because I assumed when you're done with one side of the Laserdisc, you take it out and you flip it over. But this machine, I'm pretty sure you just hit the button and the laser goes from the bottom and loops around upside down to the top because that's how I had to get it in. But it was an extremely tight fit and I do not think it's going to move on its own. So I did accidentally hit this button because I was curious, because I was letting it know that I flipped it to side B. And instead, I'm pretty sure I could hear it start moving up the tracks. So I stopped it so I wouldn't break anything. But the pin's not really in there too well. And I know that this may not hold up forever. So if you have any suggestions for how to 3D print this better, or maybe some other alternative for this, let me know, because once again, I don't know anything about 3D printing except things can be 3D printed. I am happy that I took this risk. I was extremely nervous about buying something, even though it was probably $7 to $5, but it was still a piece of equipment that I had sitting at home that I hadn't actually fixed and is now just here. But I'm definitely gonna have to keep an eye on it and do a little more work on it. Let me know in the comments if you own a Laserdisc, if you know what a Laserdisc is, and if you've ever worked on one and fixed one. I'm really excited to explore the Laserdisc library and then have a movie marathon. Let me know in the comments what your favorite movie would be to have on Laserdisc. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!